Part 3: The Mulatto Trope and the Tragic Mulatto. What is the tragic mulatto? This trope is usually imprinted on women who have a black lineage. Men did too, but the literature predominantly favors women in this tragic life. Most importantly, they are light enough that they aren't initially seen as black. They are white or ambiguous in their bloodline. But what is tragic? Classically, it is a fall from grace, as in Greek literature, in which the protagonist has a major flaw that ensures their downfall. In the case of the tragic mulatto, their major flaw is their black blood. The one drop rule, almost to this day, claims that any black heritage, one drop of black blood, made you black. So let's start with the definition of mulatto: a person of mixed descent, usually one black parent and one white. It's considered a slur today, by the way, with the term mixed or biracial replacing the more pejorative term. Terminology born out of the antebellum South that continued into the Reconstruction were mulatto, a term for a child that was half black and half white; quadroon, for a child that was a quarter black, meaning they had one black grandparent; and octoroon, an eighth black, one great grandparent, the one that could pass more than likely as white. In the color complex, authors Kathy Russell, Midge Wilson, and Ron Hall document that there was a higher price paid for slave women who were lighter. This is because it was believed that these women were more skilled, more valuable because of their white blood, but not valuable enough to be freed because of their black blood. The tragic mulatto is a very loose trope. Any light skinned person can be a tragic mulatto. Part of the tragedy is that a person deemed mulatto, or any mixed child, is longing to have access to the privileges of their white blood. The early depictions assign a prestigious white father or an ambiguous father who himself may be mixed, that is absent from the child's life. The child eventually attempts to enter the white world and comes to a frightening end. Part of this is to deter race mixing. Think of your child, but it has become ingrained in literature, film, and even music. While these mixed children, by all descriptions and accounts in literature, are strikingly beautiful, they have a feeling of being half of a whole. They are unaccepted in white communities unless they sever all ties to black people, or they must toil and struggle with black people who constantly think that they are pompous or putting on airs. Lydia Maria Child, an abolitionist and activist for women's rights, introduced the literary character that created the trope of the tragic mulatto in two different short stories: The Quadroons in 1842 and Slavery's Pleasant Homes in 1843. She portrayed light skinned women as the offspring of a white slaveholder and an enslaved black female. Her life was indeed tragic. She was ignorant of both her mother's race and her own. She believed herself to be white and free. Her heart was pure, her manners impeccable, her language polished, and her face beautiful. Her father died, her Negro blood discovered, and she was remanded to slavery, deserted by her white lover, and died a victim of slavery and white male violence. A similar portrayal of this story appears later in 1853, of the near white mulatto appearing in Clotel, a novel written by the black abolitionist William Wells Brown. Clotel is the daughter of Thomas Jefferson, which is hilarious knowing now that Jefferson had children with his slave Sally Hemings. Black people always knew the tea before everyone else. Clotel's life ended when cornered by slave catchers, and she jumps into the Potomac River in full view of the White House. The ways mixed children are presented as sad and tragic in literature speaks truly to eugenics. These are the secrets of white people mixing with blacks and other people of color, and the choice to belong in one or another group now becomes the burden of the child. They struggle with the one drop rule, the advantages, real or perceived, and a deep loneliness. The purpose of these texts is to ensure that people will think that having a mixed child would doom the child. This is not for white people who are still rabidly racist. Why? They wouldn't even touch a black person except for violence or sex. This is for the forward minded white people who sympathize with the struggles of people of color, the ones that might consider a consensual relationship with a woman outside their race. It was and is a cautionary tale. Mixed blood in this idea is inherently bad. I haven't mentioned white women in this because it is its own set of complications, specifically attached to the cult of true womanhood. Because of the cult of true womanhood, race mixing would mean that her virtue is destroyed, her value in her community evaporated, and the question of rape and coercion is at the forefront through her right belly and then her nappy headed child. Anti miscegenation laws prohibited interracial marriage or cohabitation until they were invalidated through Loving v. Virginia in 1967. But let the record show it wasn't removed from the books in Alabama until 2000. Let's take a moment and let that sink in while trying not to curse. Still, this trope still persists. See, dear white people. Wait, did Tessa do two different tragic mulattoes? Haley Stanfield as Marion Sinners, Janice Smollett as Letty in Lovecraft Country, and a host more.